case 23, not thinking of good or bad. The sixth ancestral master was chased by Ming all the way to Mount Dayu. The ancestor saw Ming coming, so he placed the robe and bowl down on a rock and said, "This robe symbolizes entrustment of the Dharma. How can it be taken away by force? Take it if you want it." Ming tried to pick it up, but it was as immovable as a mountain. Ming hesitated and became frightened. He retorted, "I came for the Dharma, not the robe. Please teach me, postulant." The ancestor said, "Not thinking of good, not thinking of bad, at just this moment, what is your original face?" At this, Ming was greatly awakened. His whole body was dripping with sweat. In tears, he bowed in reverence and asked, "Is there any other significance beyond this secret teaching and meaning?" The ancestor said, "What I have just told you is not a secret. If you turn the light around and illuminate your original face, what is secret is right there." Ming said, "Though I followed along in the congregation of Huang Mei, I've never had insight into myself. Today I received your instructions and had an opening. Like a person drinking water who knows for himself whether it is cold or warm, I shall regard you as my teacher, postulant." The sixth ancestral master said, "If this is so, then both you and I take Huang Mei as our teacher. Let us protect and uphold this teaching." I find that in moments like this or in ceremonies like this, it's easy for me to lose track of what brought me here and why I practice. And I can get disconnected from that very deep and sincere and honest inspiration. It can become very head-centered. And so both for myself and also for you, I would encourage you to take a moment and remember what is it that brought you to practice, and what is it that has kept you through sesshin and ordination and decades of practice, or why you decided to log on to Zoom this morning as opposed to any of the other millions of things that you could have done. And for a moment in silence, just reconnect with that and refamiliarize yourself with that within you that is so compelling. And this koan picks up right in the middle of things. And so I think it'd be helpful, especially for folks who may be not familiar with Huineng's story, to offer a little bit of a context of what led him to be fleeing from Ming and what led Ming to chase him all the way to Mount Dayu. So this takes place in early, mid-700s China. Ming's father was a member of the previous dynasty, the Sui dynasty, I believe. And at the end of that dynasty, he was exiled and sent basically as far as you could be sent to the south, where he met, supposedly, a non-Han mountain, one of the mountain people, and married her and had Huineng. But then a few years after Huineng's birth, he died and left what was already an impoverished family even more impoverished. And so Huineng grew up without knowing how to read and without really having any other skill besides gathering wood and selling it. And on one of those trips to a store, he met, or he overheard, someone chanting a line from the Diamond Sutra. And he was so stirred by that that he asked the person, who turned out to have been a monk, who had studied with the fifth ancestor, where did you hear this teaching? And so he told Huineng about the fifth ancestor and encouraged him to go there if he wanted to study more of the Diamond Sutra. And fortunately, Huineng had a benefactor who covered his expenses of taking care of his mother. And so he was able to go the, I think, 1,000 miles or more trip to northern China to practice there. And when he arrived, he had never meditated. He had never, he grew up in a Buddhist context, but he wasn't at all officially part of the Buddhist Sangha. And the fifth ancestor questioned him and interrogated him to see who is this person who's coming from the south. And the word that we use a lot is, or that you hear a lot in reference to Huineng, is he calls him a barbarian. But actually the more appropriate, the actual word that he uses is jungle rat. So there's a racial epithet there. It's not just that he's a barbarian, he's insulting him right out the gate to see what is it that this person is being drawn to practice. And he essentially says, people come from the north and south, but Buddha nature is always present. And so when the Hongren, the fifth ancestor, could clearly see that there was a deep understanding there and not wanting the other monks to get jealous, and realizing that Huineng was kind of right on the edge of an opening, sent him to the rice mill, where for 8 months he basically just milled rice and practiced in that way. And he never ordained, and he never really set foot in the meditation hall. And towards the end of that period, there was a contest to see who would become the next ancestor, who would take over for the fifth ancestor. There was a poem. Huineng submitted his poem, condensing this significantly. He was picked as the successor, but because, again, he was from the south, and because he had not even ordained and he'd been there for such a short period of time, the fifth ancestor said, we need you to leave. You need to take the bowl and robe, and you need to head out in the middle of the night before the other monks find out about this and potentially hurt you. So he ferries him across the river and sets him on his way. And then the fifth ancestor basically goes into seclusion for 3 days and doesn't teach, and is giving Huineng basically a 3-day head start. And then he finally reveals who is it that was given the bowl and robe and given transmission. And of the assembly of between 1,000 and 1,500 monks, hundreds of them apparently go chasing after Huineng. And among that was Ming, who was an ex-general of pretty high acclaim. He was almost as accomplished as one could be accomplished in the military. And for 2 months, he pursued Huineng. And hundreds of other people pursued as well, but they all dropped off. And eventually it was just Ming who caught up to Huineng on the pass, right on the peak of Mount Dayu. And this is where the koan picks up. And so it's easy to read these things it's easy for me to read these as just very literal stories. And I find that it's helpful in my mind that can so easily grab onto details like this and just get obsessed about the minutia of it, to try to distill it down into archetypal or fundamental essences. And so we can think about this as the quality of pursuit. So Ming can be seen very clearly as the total embodiment of achievement, of grasping, of getting what you want by means of taking it. It'd be hard to find a better form of that than a general. So pursuit, striving, grasping, chases after, awakening. We can think of Huineng as kind of a distilled version of awakening for 2 months, and finally catches up to it and was within arm's reach of it. And it's not insignificant that it's a 2-month struggle. And it's not insignificant that that's included in the koan. as I'm sure we have all experienced, and as I experience with every single sesshin that I do, that initial effort is of supreme importance. That I can't really reel in all of the tendrils of my mind and become settled into myself unless I exert a fair amount of effort for a sustained period of time. But there's a moment when that effort and that pursuit gets in the way, or the usefulness of it falls away, like a ladder that you climb or a tool that you use. When you're done using it, it's time to put it down, and it becomes a hindrance. So when Huineng encourages them to try to pick up the robe, all of that effort, which up until this point has done nothing but lead to success, is finally unable to even pick up something as light as a bowl and a robe. And I think it's important that in all of the translations that I've read, it's very explicitly placed on a rock. And in reading all of these translations, there's a lot of wiggle that goes between words that are used and the way that the story is told. But it's really significant that in connecting it to that mountain, there is a sense that is hard for me to put into words, but I feel a deep connection to that when I imagine myself as the robes and bowl being placed onto the rock. There is a fusing with the earth. And in the same way that during retreat or at times in our life when what we want most is so close to us that no amount of effort is able to pull it in, because it's not something that's outside of us. It's not something that's outside of me. And so the result is that for the first time in his life, he's completely stymied by something that's completely inconsequential, seemingly, from a physical perspective. And he's completely taken aback. He becomes frightened. And I've had many moments like this in my life, and I'm sure that this is not an unfamiliar experience to all of you. But there are times when the old way of being has become so obsolete or is so thoroughly met by a force that is completely outside of it, that for a moment, all of that persona and that personality around striving, around getting, falls away. And what's left is that honest intention to awaken. And we hear these stories of exertion or of engagement in many of the koans and many of the stories that we hear in our tradition. So whenever we hear stories about sweeping and a pebble hitting a bucket and that being the cause of awakening, that is the kind of period on the sentence of years, or in Huineng's case, in all cases, but this is a particularly good example of that, many lifetimes of diligent practice that is finally coming to fruition with just a small push in this lifetime. Byron Katie talks about how her awakening experience came after basically being completely overwhelmed and paralyzed by depression and by sadness. And in my own experience, moments of my life of being completely overwhelmed by grief or exhaustion can lead to that personality dropping away. And when that window opens up, there is a potential for a very small needle to burst that bubble. And so that failing to pick up the robe, that inability to grab transmission, to grab understanding, allows then Huineng to pierce that very thin hide by asking a question that's completely unexpected and one that is rationally disorienting. Yes, I came for the Dharma, not the robe. In that moment, I can sense this feeling of a complete personality shift. From a moment before, he's trying to maybe even kill Huineng. He's now asking a person that's not even an ordained person to teach him. And that complete reversal comes about as a result of the previous 2 months and lifetimes of practice. And there's many different ways that we can reframe that question of what is your original face. And one that Hogen Roshi gave me that's been very helpful to get traction on is what is always present. And that's a question that I've been carrying for months now, and I think in many ways my 20 years or more lifetimes. Because we're not trying to find some special state of bliss or of joy or some conditional setting that's going to lead to my satisfaction or my awakening or my completion. There is that desire to connect with and to act from a source that is beyond thought and that does not go away, as the poem says, when we die or when the worst case scenario happens or whatever else may come. That infinite foundation or always present source is not something, it's not a thing, but is a direction of attention and a source of action. And the way that he encourages Ming to witness that is through a very simple, direct pointing. To really look very clearly at what is always present. And that completely transforms Ming for about 1 second. And then instantly, he says, his body dripping in sweat and in tears, he bows in reverence and asks, is there any other significance beyond the secret teaching and meaning? There's that moment of awakening, or as Byron Katie says, there's no enlightened people, there are only enlightened moments. And so instantly, doubt comes in around, is this it? Is this all that there is? Is this the great magical awakening, Buddhahood? And again, the way that Huineng directs him back is through directly looking back. It's very simple, just return, keep looking back, turn the light to shine within, and then just return, which we say so often. It's not some complicated manual. You're not trying to fix an Italian sports car. You're just looking back and falling back into the arms of deep love that is unconditional. And that's a very simple turn. But in my own experience, it has taken me, and it will probably continue to take me, many years to be familiar enough and trust that, enough that I don't listen to and believe all of the doubtful thoughts that I have that lead me away and have led me away over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. like some great gale of wind that blows up and catches my sails and drags me away. And that just takes time, and it takes cutting in new habits and releasing old karma. That if I believe my thoughts, which I have done for my entire life, and that was the only source of confidence and as a way to navigate through the world, was what could I think of and what made sense, then that is a bumpy roller coaster ride of a life, and one that I very easily sell the priceless gift of my life for cheap and painful beliefs. Because I think that that is what is going to keep me safe. And fundamentally, that's the belief there, that in order to keep this thing that I can't find safe, I need to act in certain ways and make sense out of the world in other ways. And all of that suffering that comes along with it is entirely self-centered. I was telling Chosen in the hallway that all of my nervousness, I was looking at the underlying cause of all that nervousness in the hallway of my heart beating and sweating, and all of it was just about Shokan. I wasn't in there deeply cut up and worried about how everyone in here was doing, because I felt like everyone here was probably doing okay. And actually, I wasn't really thinking about you all at all, to be honest. And when I turned those self-centered thoughts into just that mantra of the hope to benefit everyone that's listening to this, it's a very interesting turn to sit down and to feel like I am not the one giving the talk, but we are all giving this talk together, or we are all doing this together. This is an activity or a ceremony or an event that is done as a group. And that lessens immensely the burden of shouldering my suffering by myself. And yet doubt comes up again and again and again and again. But that what gives me hope, and that what Huineng says in a moment, is that through that continual returning, by picking it up and placing it back into the source, we develop that trust. And what I've found is that it's like a scale that slowly starts to tip, like these two sides of a scale where for the entirety of my life, one side has been completely, all the weight has been put on that. And now slowly, moment after moment, day after day, year after year, has been placing little bits of the grains over to the other side. And now more and more, less effort is required to tip that scale in the other direction. And that's both an immensely hope-instilling observation for me, and a clear path in the direction of how to head. Of just when I find myself doubting, or when I find myself lost in thought, it's a very simple thing to do. It's not very complicated. It doesn't necessarily require a lot of effort. And the more that I do it, the easier it becomes. And it's been recently in working with this koan that faith in the left as opposed to the right has really started to slowly equal out and slowly start to turn over in the opposite direction. And this is Huineng's admonishment to protect and uphold this teaching. In another translation, he says, maintain your realization carefully. And then what is not included in the koan is that basically immediately after that, both Huineng and Ming go into solitary retreat for a number of years and continue to practice and continue to refine and continue to walk that path back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until it's not full of brambles, until it's just the occasional blackberry branch that comes out and catches you, and until it's so clear that it's an effortless transition that happens of itself. I was remarking to Hogan the observation that we talk about practice as this thing that we do, that when we notice that our mind is locked on to thoughts about the past or the future, but then we pick it up and move it somewhere else. But that moment of noticing seems to me to be the biggest and most important part of that equation. And I am still learning, and I'm still very curious about how that moment occurs, because as far as I can tell, it seems like that is a moment that is completely beyond Shokan and beyond my practice. And that it's easy too to fall into old habits and old patterns. And if it's not something that you're in a container or in a community that constantly encourages you to turn your mind in that way, old habits come in really, really easily. Centuries, millennia, kalpas of old habits that bring the mind in other directions come in and are constantly assailing us. And so he encourages Ming to see himself as peers and as the fifth ancestor, as their teacher still. And what stuck with me in rereading the poem this morning was, even if the world extinguishes, it cannot be destroyed. And reminded of, I think from the Fusatsu chant that we do, we say that the Sangha is the one body which does not disappear. Is that correct? Yeah. And so it ends on this note of Sangha, of peership, of spiritual friendship. That at the beginning, what was an enemy probably 20 seconds before is now not only a friend, but a very deep spiritual companion. And so from the perspective of Huineng, when I carry that perspective, it is helpful to see the things that chase me down, and that could be seen from a normal perspective as an enemy, as instead a potential spiritual friend, as a potential teacher. Or from the perspective of Ming, this thing that I think is taking away or doing harm to me or is my enemy is again the same way my teacher. I think that may be all I have to say. Say more. Hogan is giving me... Yes, I'm getting to it. Yes. There is a verse about this case. I have asked the Benji to read it.
It cannot be described or pictured, nor can it be praised enough. Soak with your struggle the original case has never so quit your struggle. The original face has never been concealed, even if the world extinguishes it, cannot be destroyed. It cannot be described or pictured, nor can it be praised enough. So quit your struggle. The original face has never been concealed, even if the world extinguishes it, cannot be destroyed.
The inexhaustible lion's roar,
How will you use this, Shippei?
freely giving life and taking it away. This is a 3-foot-long black snake. A long time ago, it became a kampura flower on Mount Buddhakutra. At Mount Shorin, it became a plum blossom. Sometimes it transforms into a dragon and swallows heaven and earth. Sometimes it transforms into a diamond sword with freedom to kill and to restore life. Right now, in accord with the order of my teacher, it lies in my hands. I feel like a mosquito trying to bite an iron bull. However, being asked to be Shusso, I have to fulfill my duties. Now, you dragons and elephants in this Dharma hall, confront me in Dharma combat. Benji, you go first.
Attention! Shuso, this seems like a very simple thing you're asking us to do. Just come back to ourselves. But in this moment, the robes are on the stone in front of you. How will you pick them up?
As best I can.
Will that help others?
I hope so, very desperately.
Thank you for your teaching.
May your life go well.
We now begin Dharma combat. This is how this will work. Gensei and Shokan demonstrated it beautifully. The format is that we will have here in the Zendo an opportunity to go around the room and engage Shokan in question and answer. We'll start with the Buddha's right side, so Kenyo and Jaku and down to Victoria. And then we will go to those of you on Zoom. So if you would like to ask Shokan a question and you're on Zoom, please raise your virtual hand. And we'll also later invite you to engage with Shokan. After those on Zoom, we'll do those of us on the Buddha's left-hand side. The format is that when it's your turn, please say attention or shuso or attention shuso, but don't stumble over shuso. And ask your question, keep it succinct and about the koan or the talk or the verse or Shokan's experience. And Shokan will offer a response. And if you're not fully satisfied with that, please ask them to clarify. Say, please clarify. And when you're done or satisfied enough, say, thank you for your answer. And Shokan will wish you well, and we'll move on to the next person. Okay, I'm next. Shokan, I gotta say, I am experienced with this matter of trust and the tipping of the scales towards trust, but I don't have full faith in that. So if you could pierce right to my heart and tip the scales fully right now, I would really appreciate that.
What is that doubt made out of?
I'm not sure that it's not exclusively thought. It seems to be thought, but I'm not convinced that it's just a thought.
But even else, that whatever else it may be, like what is it? What is that? How do you experience that?
Thank you for your teaching. Thank you for your answer.
May life go well. This battery may die soon too, by the way.
What does it mean to turn the light and shine it in?
To let go of the story that I'm caught up in, to return to the body, to return to space.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Shusso, if these two men return to you as their teacher, what remains to be taught?
Wow. To have great faith. To not give up.
How would you teach them this?
The answer that came up was, I would ordain.
Thank you.
May your life go well.
For the sake of everyone at home, please make sure to have the mic very close to your mouth so that we can all hear the exchange.
Attention. All at once, what is the bowl? What is the robe? What is the mountain? Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Shusso, here, I'm huffing and puffing up the mountain. I'm thinking, I hate running, running bad, I'm mad at this. It sure feels like a struggle. How can I trust that a moment of grace will come? What if I get to the top and there's no one there?
Can you say that one more time?
I'm huffing and puffing up the mountain. I'm thinking, I hate running, running bad, I'm bad at this. How can I trust that a moment of grace will just come and pierce my bubble? What if I get to the top and there's no one there?
Run harder.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Shuso! Can this hand be destroyed or not?
I don't know.
I feel oceans between us. Is there anything you can say about that?
I'm not a perfect person.
Neither am I. Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Just respond. Just respond. Just respond.
I'm not thinking.
Just respond.
Okay.
Shuso. Who sees the original face?
Just this one.
Thank you.
May your life go well.
Shuso. Who or what is it?
I have no idea. But I've already said that. What else can I say about this? Say it one more time.
Who or what is it?
Can you feel your heart beating?
Can you say more?
Can you feel your hands?
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
We're now going to offer those of you on Zoom to engage with the Shuso. I saw Soten and Shanae's hand up first. Soten, please go.
May your life go well.
We're now going to offer.
That is the YouTube feed playing, and you need to mute the YouTube page because there's a 30-second delay. Sorry, we're getting feedback on our end, so 10, please, 1 second. Are we all good back there?
Soten, please.
Nope. So the tab in Google Chrome that has YouTube open that's playing this is unmuted, and there's a 30-second delay. So that's what we're hearing.
You muted that. Soten, please start speaking.
Great.
Shuso here. There's so much contrasted in the koan that you shared as you shared it. My question to you that I'm seeking advice upon is, what is the difference between a heavenly realm and a hell realm?
Not much difference at all. A very thin margin.
Are you satisfied with that?
I'm not, but nothing's coming up right now.
How would you show the difference?
How would I show the difference?
I just saw it.
May your life go well. Sinead there. Shuso here. Oh, we're going to...
Shanae, oh, please, Shanae,
Nope,
go.
We're going to go with Shanae.
Shuso here. After years and years of attempting this practice, it will have effort. How can I make it effortless?
Look at that effort that you think is happening and see what it's made out of. And notice how that perception of effortful activity arises effortlessly.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Shokan.
Shusso here. How do you recognize the time to stop trying?
It feels like the zenith of an arc of a rocket. There's a moment of pause. There's a moment of futility. Or something in my heart asks me to stop trying.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Shusso here. You're in the Zendo and I am in my room. But where are we?
Right here.
Where is here?
Wherever you want it to be.
Thanks for being here, bud.
I love you. May your life go well.
Shusso here. So, what does it mean, even if the world extinguishes, it cannot be destroyed?
And there's nothing that can touch that fundamental place.
What does it mean about extinguished or destroyed? It says the world can be extinguished. What does that mean? What world?
All of the things that I hope to happen, all of my desires and aspirations can completely fall away. My idea of the future, all of that can fall away and still it's there.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well. Oh, Jomon?
Jomon.
Shuso here.
Hello.
How do you meet the one that wants to be safe?
With tenderness and patience.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well. Kodo?
Shuso here. What tipped your scales as Shuso?
The support of the Sangha, of being put in that position and then supported for months and a whole year, of the continued patience of Hogen and Chosen and Kisei and everyone else that didn't give up on me and kept giving me a chance.
How can you make that permanent? Or can you make it, is it now part of your being?
More so and more so. I can feel it in my feet, and I can feel it slowly climbing up my legs.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
If you're at home and you would like to ask the Shuso a question, please raise your virtual hand. And now, Enryu.
Shuso here. Tell me about your mother.
And it's become a very different word these days, and something that I think has changed in its meaning. And that as time has worn away her bones and her skin, what's left is a sense of that connection being everywhere and in everyone. And not just located in one person that was called Nancy Martin.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well. Cliff?
Shusso here. Ming spent an awful lot of time chasing Bodhidharma's robe and bowl. What was it about catching it and him and the patriarch that changed the goal from the bowl and robe to the Dhamma?
And when we finally catch up with what we think we want and finally get a hold of it, it's often something very different than what we expected.
Thank you for your teaching.
May your life go well. You can keep pushing me on these things too. There's a chance for a second question.
Well said.
April? Ensui.
He says here, where is the rock? Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
If you're at home and your virtual hand is not raised, you still have an opportunity to engage with Shusso. So please raise your virtual hand. Or I will start calling on people. Fugan?
Hey. I can't hear you. Oh.
Shusso here.
Hello.
If the original face has never been concealed, who's the one that's looking for it?
The hope to find it.
Can you say more?
Yeah. Can I say more? It's like hands trying to find themselves in the night. Or that line of reaching back and trying to find a pillow in the middle of the night.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Ashley?
If the original face has not been concealed, then why has it not been seen?
I haven't been looking.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
We're going to transition to more people in the Zendo, and if you have not engaged with the Shusso and you're online, please raise your virtual hand if you would like to do that over the next few minutes. Next is Jikai.
Shusso here. You break the precept of not stealing. You hear a lion roaring and say it takes years and lifetimes. You put so much time on its skull. You crush it. You break the precept of not killing. Just show me the roaring of the lion and deliver me from this.
It's not something that I can show you. It's something that's inside of yourself.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Shusso here. Why does practice look like this?
Can you say more?
If the original face has never been concealed, why does the practice look like this?
Because we're very good at not noticing it. We're very good about not appreciating our lives.
Who doesn't notice it?
I don't.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Shusso here. If not even trying won't do, how do you rouse the will of someone like Ming?
Trying will do. Very important. But trying isn't the only tool in the kit. It's not the only ingredient in the recipe.
And advice on maybe becoming more like Ming?
Relax. Please relax.
Thank you.
May your life go well.
Shusso here. I don't have a question. I hear so the answer love, 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 and I would have to generate a question. All I want to say is thank you for your answer, but I'll pause for a minute.
I love you.
I love you. Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Shusso here. The grains of sand from your life balanced your scale somewhat, or all fully. What was the heaviest of those grains? Demonstrate that for me. Excellent answer.
May your life go well.
Shusso here. I'm so afraid of being extinguished. Can you help me?
I can try. What is it that you think is going to be extinguished?
My whole world.
How do you know your whole world?
Good question. Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Attention, Shusso. It cannot be praised enough. How do you praise it?
I ordain. I spend my whole life trying my best.
How do you praise it right now? How do you praise it right now?
Something far quieter. Something that I can't express.
Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well.
Attention, Shusso. So this original face, this true nature, without using sounds or words, how can you show it? Again, too fast. Without using sounds or words, right now, how can you show it? Again, right now, right now. Is that it?
No.
Without using sounds or words, right now. Thank you for your answer.
May your life go well. May your life go well. May your life go well. Oop. Yes.
Your line.
My line, I'm sorry. I completely forgot that I posted. Being immature and insufficient in training, I wasn't expecting to be asked to serve as shuso. I feel as if a crime has been committed that fills the heavens, and there isn't a place on earth for me to hide. I hope that there is enough water in the Columbia for you to rinse my words out of your ears. water flows and returns to the sea.
Well done. Well done.
Yes. We now all have the opportunity to offer some words to Shokan in the form of an appreciation or congratulations or comment about this whole event this morning. And the Shokan's job is just to sit there and listen. So you can say whatever you would like. We will go in the reverse order, roughly, of how we did it last time. Hogen and then the Buddha's left will go first, and then those of you on Zoom, same deal. Please raise your virtual hand if you would like to appreciate Shokan, and then Buddha's right. Shokan, I felt very moved by your talk and what we've explored together this morning, and I pray that my heart can be open to you at all times, and I'm very glad that we're friends and we take care of this place together. So thank you for your life and your sensitivity, and I really appreciate the fact that you're looking at me from your seat right now. Thank you.
So it's a hard job being up there, answering all these strange questions. And it's a hard job being the Shusso and dealing with all the details and being present in the Zendo for that whole year. It's a hard job being the person who goes around trying to keep things in order. It's a hard job to do all the technical work that you had to do during this year while you were doing that. So I really appreciate your Ming-like determination to keep going and to wholeheartedly engage in whatever was brought to you. So thank you very much.
Shokan, thank you for the last 2 years in particular. I feel like the Sangha would not have made it through the pandemic without you. The audio-visual, but also just your consistency and presence and optimism here. And thank you for ordaining. Thank you for stepping into leadership. Thank you for the whole year last year that we got to spend together. I really enjoyed doing work with you, and we had to meet every week, and it felt like a treat, not a chore. And I'm really, really grateful for all the support I've received from you, but also the friendship and how I see your heart opening and how you're taking care of this community. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for ordaining. I'm looking forward to spending several more years with you. I think it's already been 4 that we've lived basically every single day together with this schedule. And for the fact that we've done that so harmoniously is tells my heart that you're a person of that can be trusted and can be a friend of mine for a long time. And I hope that that's true. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Shokan, we've known each other for about 3 years now. You were the first person to welcome me into this community. You continue to show me new things. I learn from you constantly. Thank you for all you've given to this community and given to me.
Shokan, I had no idea I was going to cry so much. Today, your talk was compelling and expansive, and it felt just right. And now, having time to reflect on appreciation for you, I want you to know that I find you very inspirational. You also were the first person to really connect with me when I first came here, and you were so kind and comforting, and I held on to that a lot my first month here, so thank you for that. And I also agree with everyone here how pivotal you've been in not only keeping this monastery existing, but the benefit of all the audiovisual and reaching out to people in these hard times for people who don't get to live here. I hope that you can feel that, what support you've been for the Dharma everywhere through all times. So thank you. I find you inspiring.
Shokan, I feel we have certain similarities, maybe a certain affinity, or maybe it's in my head, but I want to thank you for some of the personal attention I perceive that you've extended toward me, maybe personalized advice, personalized care, and in particular, I'm thinking of all the time you spent going over forms, going over timekeeping, and yeah, I'll just say that I guess I could call it a taste show, that it felt like when you relax, you wear your robe really well, and I think you're really going to step into teaching nicely, and I look forward to seeing you on that platform at some point to hear what you have to say again.
Hi, Shokan. Thank you for being very welcoming, both to me personally and to the way that you present your face to the Sangha and people who show up here. Thank you for being a gentle encourager and for your deep faith and for your ability to crack a joke during soji in the morning when I'm asking a serious question. And thank you for howling in the Zendo.
Shokan, I'm deeply honored to share this Zendo with you, and I look forward to the time that we will spend together. And I thank you for, I have a very fond memory of sitting in the guest area in the dark, and then the lights coming back on at a very poetic moment in the conversation. That's a very beautiful memory. And I want you to know that I love you very much, and I will always be here for you.
Now everyone on Zoom will have an opportunity to share.
Shokan, as a remote Sangha member, your technical acumen and expertise in providing these services has meant so much to me that I can't express it in words. So thank you. And thank you for your vow. Thank you for your ordination. I look forward to learning a great deal from you, and I also look forward to meeting you in person.
Shokan, I don't think I would have practiced I think you're responsible for me like choosing to go to the monastery. You really encouraged me when I decided to do my crazy sesshin adventure. Like so many pivotal little choices happened after our conversations. So thank you so much for just so much support on God. Yeah. I think you speak so clearly and honestly, and I want to hear more. I can't wait to hear more. So thanks for your friendship and your support.
Hi, Sotanishini.
Hi, Shokan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I remember the first time, I don't remember when this was. It must have been like a couple months after you moved there, and we were sitting down, and I must have asked you something like, what does your future look like, or what are you going to do after the monastery? And he's like, and you said, well, honestly, I think I might just get ordained and live here the rest of my life. And I was, whoa, okay. It's not something you usually hear from a resident that, just arrives. But it's beautiful to see your commitment to practice, and that's kind of what I saw in that moment in our conversation. Like, wow, this person is really devoted to what's most important. And thank you for devoting your life to this practice and for getting ordained and taking care of that place. And it's just so lovely and puts ease in my heart. And one more thing I want to say is how beautiful it is, your interest in people and your ability to see the positive and strengths of people and call them out. So I felt called out by you and seen you call out other people in that way many times. And that's such an important quality. Oh wait, I had one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, your talk was awesome. I love that koan. I love that koan and how you spoke about it. And your ability to go into the student role is so impressive, and now to see you stepping into the teacher's role is so beautiful, and thank you.
Hi, Shokan. Riding off of what Shanae said, you definitely have the gift of compliment, and that is a gift that only select people have, so hope you keep riding that. I'm reminded, watching everybody who came to this, how much of a linchpin you've been for the Sangha at large. And we've complimented you and appreciated you so much as the tech guy for this Zoom revolution. But that really was just a manifestation of the way that you relate to many, many people, which has a large effect on the Sangha. Thank you for being available to me as a friend.
Shokan, I want to really appreciate all of your efforts, all of the running and sweating, and all of the ways that you show up, and also this wholeheartedness, this wholehearted, warm clarity that is here is also showing up in this wholehearted way. And I am so grateful for this gift. Thank you.
Shokan, it's wonderful to hear you give this talk and see you in this seat, expressing the Dharma in this way. And I think one of the things as people said, on behalf of the Sangha, our Sangha has really grown and thrived because of many efforts, but as Soten said, you were really a key to that. And it wasn't just about whiz-bang technology, but it was, you were the one who basically opened the temple doors so that people could continue to practice and brought people to the Dharma from all over the world to hear the teachings. So very grateful to that we could stay connected. And the other thing is, I would just like to say that one of the things I notice is just the kind of settling that has happened in you through your practice and the discernment around training at the monastery, whether to ordain or not, and just a settling more and more into the direct experience of the body, and moving from head to heart. And I just want to appreciate thank you for letting me be a little bit a part of that process and just being genuine in that way. I look forward to sitting on a bench next to you again someday. Thank you, Shokan.
Don't know how to do a virtual hand. No, then don't do it. You want to say?
Kodo is next. Please make sure you're muted if you're not Kodo.
I'm Kodo. Thank you. Thank you, Shokan, for your talk and your presenting this koan so authentically. But what I really want to tell you is I really appreciate your courage to step forward in all these different ways. I think it's inspirational for us to see your aspirations. And I also appreciate how you've become balanced over the years I've known you, and know that this is your path. And so I really appreciate that you've stepped forward to ordain and be such a pivotal part of this community. And that you speak your truth wherever, however. And that's really important for us to hear all these different voices. I especially appreciate your courage to step forward. Thank you.
Ansui.
Shokan, you're glowing. There's a Mr. Rogers saying, "Look for the helpers," and when I hear that, I think of like a Where's Waldo picture with hundreds of little Shokans mixed in, and the helper you need to find is Shokan. I think there was about the first year of the pandemic that maybe you were the only one who was really running the technical part of the online program. And now I know you have more help, but those first, I don't know, 6 months or a year, you really seemed like you were working all the time to bring us in. And as part of that community, I'm really grateful. Thank you again. Thank you for being a helper.
Shokan. The one thing that I want to say thank you for the most is I remember a time where I was very worked up and I had said something unintentionally that I, in hindsight, realized was very, very hurtful, and it really caused me to see how much certain emotions I have, how destructive they can be. So that was one thing that was kind of a shifting point for me, but also the other side of that was to see how grounded you were able to be during showing those emotions. And that's just an example that I think about all the time. So yeah, I aspire to be able to feel all the emotions people show as well as you're able to. Thank you for being there for the monastery. I wish I was there to give you a bear hug, or you give me a bear hug, since that's more adequate description. I look forward to seeing you again in a couple months. I love you and I'm thankful for you.
Hi, Shokan. I just want to appreciate your giftedness. I have so many of your beautiful gifts that you've given me that it's been decorating my home and my heart. And I just want to appreciate how important it is for me to stay connected with you. I've really been touched that our relationship has deepened and deepened with distance. And yeah, just so touching actually for me to see you up there in all your blooming. So thank you.
Hello, Shokan. Your talks are really, really powerful and nourishing for me, so I can't wait to hear more. And what I really would like to say is that somehow you became the embodiment of compassion for me. And that started with the first talk when I asked what's your name is about. And you started to talk about it, and then you actually proved it in your daily, activity and reaction to me. And when nobody asked me how am I, you did. And that was really just the simple truth of your name, Shokan. Thank you.
That is all of the hands raised for now. We're going to turn to the rest of the Zendo, and if you are on Zoom and feel inspired to share over the next few minutes, please just raise your hand and we'll come back to you before we finish. Yes, please just get our attention. But first we're going to go to Raul. So Raul, come out here, please.
Thanks for being there whenever I'm falling apart.
Shokan, I've been thinking about when I first became aware of you, and that was, January of last year, when I first started to attend the weekend retreats and the monthly sessions online. And so I got to know you a little bit that way. And then in April, I came for just a visit at the monastery with a friend, and I remember that you walked out to where we were standing to say hello and to meet us. And I just have this sense of this kind, warm, welcoming, friendly person that you then were no longer one-dimensional, you were then three-dimensional, and the kind look on your face and just the warm welcome that you gave us really meant a lot to me, and I was so happy to meet you in person that day. And then since I've been living here since June of last year, that kindness has extended even more, and it has reached more deeply into my heart. And I really appreciate you so much. So thank you for being who you are. And thank you for sharing today so much from your heart. I really appreciated hearing everything you said. So thank you very much.
Shokan, I want to start off by saying thank you for your talk. It was clear your heart was in those words. You spoke very deeply from the heart, and I really appreciate that, and it was felt. I also want to say just how warm and welcoming, yes, and pleasant it is to be around you, that I can go and ask any question and not be apprehensive to come to you with something. And I think that's so amazing that you don't find that in everyone, just being able to be open and share what you're feeling with others, like I can with you. And the ability you have of being able to move at the same pace of others, perhaps that might, need to go a little slower than your ability is, but you can dial it back, and you make sure that everyone's up to speed, and I really appreciate that, and that's really shows just how aware you are of everything around you, and making sure everybody is included and that whole process. And yes, thank you for your teaching all the time. You're a very, very wise person, very loving and compassionate, and it shows every moment. Thank you.
You are a perfect person in the truest meaning of the word.
and I would swallow an ocean to close that gap. May you continue gathering magic in that robe and bowl of yours.
Shokan, you have a gift and some very clear eyes, and I know that you understand the responsibility to not let those fritter away, and there's no doubt in my mind that you will protect and nurture them so that you can continue sharing your artistry and your intelligence and your magic with everyone that you encounter. And my prayer is that you will always hold yourself as gently and lovingly as you hold to everyone else. I have so much love for you, and I'm really proud of you, and happy birthday.
Shokan, we are the sky, and we rain down snow, you the bamboo outside the Sanzen hut, just heaping it on, you don't break. You're the stay grounded, slightly invasive. You permeate our minds. And you are the building and grounds that protects the Dharma, and you take care of the teachers and all of us. Thank you for your service.
Shokan, that koan that you presented is so extraordinary, and you did a wonderful job of bringing out all the texture of it and telling the story so richly, and so really profound teaching. I think you have a real affinity with this tradition, and if you continue to use all of the abundant gifts and talents that you have in service of that, you'll help many, many people. I also appreciate just how warm and grandmotherly you've been as Shusso. I think it's been exemplary how you've maintained a harmonious and disciplined practice environment, and at the same time you've done that with great kindness and gentleness and care, and I think everyone has felt really supported by that. And I think it's really unique the way you've embodied that. So thank you for setting that example.
Shokan, I have too many things to say. You're an incredible human being. You inspire me. Thank you most purely and deeply for your friendship. Thank you for helping me not feel alone so many times. And your talents are incredible, and we're extremely lucky to I feel extremely lucky to have you here, to have you as a part of my life, and to have you to walk this path with. I've been looking very forward to the day that you start teaching, and this just confirms that. It just astounds me all the time to think of, oh yeah, and Shokan also is like incredibly creative. Oh right, and they also do this incredibly well. And it's just amazing the range of things that you bring life into and enthusiasm into, and I that paired with your warmth and compassion and care for people is just really beautiful to watch your life. So thank you for everything.
Returning to those online briefly. I know. Lucy B. Please wait just a moment. All right.
I want to get a T-shirt that says "Be like Shokan," and otherwise, we love you. Relax, and nothing is amiss.
Anyone else online, you may just unmute and go for it.
Shokan.
This is Dinah here. Can you hear me? Shokan, you have done so much for this monastery, keeping things going in this new environment that we have going. I appreciate it, and I know everybody else has already said so. But you, who you really are, really shines. Keep shining.
And I get to quickly say that you remember that phrase, no mud, no lotus? I'm so happy for you that you feel you have so much mud. Wonderful. Thank you.
Shokan, I really look to you as my big bro in the Dharma. I really do. I see you as an example on this path, and I can't think of a better example. I feel your courageousness and your wholeheartedness in every situation. And I find myself in my habit patterns so many times being challenged, saying, this is enough. I'm going to step back and do my Gensei thing. And there is a voice that says, Shokan would not do that. Shokan would keep going forward. And that's what I see in you, is you're always stepping forward. And so thank you for being that example, and keep being it, please. Thank you.
Determined to know the truth beneath the myriad manifestations, they left their original home in the south and undertook a pilgrimage of thousands of miles to the west. Entering a monastery, they sat in a windowless small room, undertaking the task of untangling a mass of wires and cords so that the Sangha could be fed. What if more than one hand is virtual? What if you climb the mountain and no one is there?
May the merit of this Dharma teaching be extended to all beings, and may our sincere vows to accomplish the awakened way be realized together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all honored ones, Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, all rise for 3 bows. Let's get a little clap your hands, say, yeah, well done. Woo!
So that ends about our 20th Shuso Hosen. And I encourage you all to come back next year when Ginsei gets to do this. So thank you all for being part of the Sangha.